You make a sad mistake if you think Rasta will break. I am not make the mistake until we are ready to shake. I am bow. I am bow. Papa Bible bow. Love you know that sound. I am bow. I am bow. I am bow. Papa Bible bow. Love you know that sound. I am bow.
Within the region, especially in the Eastern Caribbean, those islands all mostly being from the colonial standpoint. A similar constitution gives ones and ones the right, any individual, to practice whatever freedom of conscience, freedom of thought, religion, spirituality that they desire. And in such, they are also able to practice without hindrance their faith and use the necessary sacraments without hindrance. That's basically what the Constitution was saying. However, the Drug Act was saying zero tolerance. We went to court and we won. And so the government was asked, the Attorney General was asked to go back and revise the Drug Act to allow for certain amounts of cannabis for Rastafari in their spiritual use, and also for the general public. That also opened the doors to right to privacy. The judge made it clear, if you have the right to use cannabis, then you should also have the right to grow cannabis. So as it is in St. Kitts Nevis right now, we would have seen a change in government that sort of slow down the process. But as it is now, the present government would have gone into parliament, and number one, they would have recognized Rastafari as a religious, spiritual, faith-based organization. And as such, we would have been given the necessary rights, just like a churchical order. That in itself also opened up the doors for the use of our sacrament. And so the government made two basic pieces of legislation. One legislation is called the freedom of conscience. This legislation is actually for the entire population, anyone over 18, where adults can cultivate and use cannabis in their private space, the privacy of your home, without any interference. However, that freedom of conscience bill has attached to it the process where an individual would still have to basically apply for a license to do that. Now, that is one of the things that we are still opposing, We are happy that everyone can grow those 5 trees and have 56 grams of cannabis if it's in the public. However, we still see that there is hindrance and obstacles in terms of having to apply for a license and having to pay $100 EC, which is about 40 US dollars. Now, there was another piece of legislation that is called the Rastafari Rights Recognition. This one is specifically to Rastafari, which allows Rastafari to exercise their right and to be able to, number one, register our organizations as a churchical order, a spiritual order, and also to register our place of worship or our place of assembly, whether it's a tabernacle, a room, wherever, a farm, wherever you assemble. That place is also recognized as a place where cannabis can be grown without any limits. So we can grow any amount of trees and we can use any amount of cannabis, but it has to be within the confines of our churchical grounds. We would have made some oppositions. We would have spoken to the Attorney General and another issue as well, because this one seems to limit Rastafari to churchical groups or religious groups, and it didn't weigh in and giving the individual Rastafari as much leeway. However, we were able to push that it's not every Rastafari is a part of a churchical order, a part of an organization. We do have individual and family membership to the organization. So it does speak to the fact that a Rastafari can use his house, his private space, also as a form of assembly or worship. And so that now would give the Rastafari community the authority to register their household, their private space, also as a place of gathering. What this does, registering from the Rastafari standpoint, you do not really have limits as to the number of trees that you can plant. It is still restricted, however, to private use. So the government would have really made some bold steps, and that has definitely transformed the use of cannabis here in St. Kitts Nevis. We see in general, a ease on the persecutions of Rastafari in particular, and of course other people. And so we see, a more relaxed use. However, we have occasional issues where people are still being harassed by the authorities. I think this was mainly as a result of the fact that even though the legislation and all that was passed, the government took quite a bit of time to set in the regulations, to give the necessary certificates and IDs for people to register. And so over the past maybe 6 months, we've had some situation where the police again was becoming a bit active and harassing people. However, we took to the streets and to the airwaves, and we made quite a bit of a political and social upheaval about it, which has forced the government to quickly get their act together again and start to issue the necessary license and so on to the Rastafari community. Now, this is basically speaking to sacramental cannabis. There also is the development of the medicinal cannabis industry. Now, what has happened is that the Rastafari community has been promised the first and free license within the medicinal cannabis industry. It is now up to the Rastafari community as to how they would use that license, whether we get totally into a business, whether we seek investors. We would have the opportunity to gain some finance from the medicinal cannabis, of course, growing cannabis along certain guidelines. However, the majority of the Rastafari community doesn't seem to be interested in the medicinal cannabis part of it, with all the legislation, regulations, and red tape. We are pushing for the government to give us Rastafari the opportunity to do whatever we want with our sacramental cannabis. So we are asking to be able to trade our sacramental cannabis amongst ourselves and even across the region. That has not been too clear as yet. So the sacramental cannabis is still basically more for the use of the liturgical order. It is one of the things that we recognize, and it is seen across the region, where, because a lot of our countries are tied to a lot of international conventions, especially their so-called obligations to the International Narcotics Council, we see where the governments are afraid to make that step. And so even though they would have given us the right to use the cannabis, they have added the license and the registration, which would sort of protect them from international criticisms, because international criticisms would basically be saying that it is all free for recreational use. And we know how the international community view that. And so we see our governments not wanting to commit political suicide. They're still trying to bob and weave as to how to satisfy the locals and still maintain the international obligations. But we keep reminding them that the judge in the court matter basically said, your constitution is the law of the land. And so your allegiance is to your constitution and not to any international bodies or conventions. The fight continues, but I would say Sinkis Nevis is really poised in a good position. We still have restrictions, but it is a lot easier and more practical, where individuals can enjoy cannabis in the privacy of their homes, and even, in certain designated areas, certain functions. We also see the opportunity where the cannabis industry would be there, and we would have that opportunity to benefit from it. Now, what we did in our arguments, we took a collaborative approach through the CARICOM bodies, CARICOM Islands, because we would have heard of that CARICOM report that was done in 2018, which basically asked the Caribbean governments not to separate themselves and approach cannabis individually. The report was asking for more of a collaborative approach from CARICOM, which makes sense because we have some countries with large land masses that can grow more things like hemp, and different islands with different structure, soil structure, and so on, would probably do better in certain things. But we were asking for less restrictions when it comes to movements within within the islands. We had a document which was within CARICOM, within CRO. I think it came out of Barbados mainly. It basically was a reparatory justice approach to cannabis. I'll be happy to share it with the group. It is a document which basically tells the government that, you are now going to be the big persons selling and trading cannabis. And we are advising them and reminding them that our community cannot be left out, because we are the ones who suffer the brunt of the discrimination and all the the lockup and the jail time just for cannabis. And so we are saying any legal framework set up for cannabis, which gives economic opportunity, the Rastafari community must stand first and foremost and cannot be left out. So we are pushing that agenda and keeping the government on its toes. But, in closing, I would like to say that it is a lot easier than it was, 5, 10, 15 years ago. People are now focusing on growing, quality cannabis, not having to hide. You can grow your cannabis and experiment, getting the best that you can. Much of the other islands have moved forward. We have Jamaica, St. Vincent, Antigua, Barbados, St. Lucia, even Dominica right now. I would say not all of them would have gone through the legislative framework to position Rastafari, in a good statute. A lot of it has been arrangements with governments to allow Rasta to do this and allow Rasta to do that, which is good. But we should always push because we see how our governments operate. When one party lose political power, the other party comes in and changes everything. So we figure we must always get to the Constitution and get the necessary laws in place that would protect us going forward. I will stop there in the essence of time and continue listening and give ones-on-ones the opportunity, if necessary, to ask any questions. One perfect love.
Yes, sir. Give thanks to us, Iroy. Really appreciate of that. I see Marcus is here, and I know Marcus told me he needed to leave. Marcus, are you able to? Marcus Goff has been instrumental in challenging the courts in ways that we have heard once described how legislation is not keeping up with practice of police, etc. Marcus, are you able just to share with our participants here some of the major kind of work that you have been engaged in the last year or two doing? I know you also are part of the Rastafari and Grassroots Ganja Association. I saw Bob here earlier, but I don't see him here. I'm hoping that he will return. But I know you have to move, but as an introduction, this has been the man who has been in the forefront of our court battle with the case. I turn over to you, Marcus, just to give a context of some of what Jamaica still is going through.
Give thanks, Brother Jalani, and give thanks to the Rastafari family. And this important day that we look to, not a single day, but one of the important days, we look to pay homage to the cannabis plant and the journey of Rastafari with the plant from then time to now, So give thanks for organizing the roll call. And yes, Jamaica is here present. And the Rastafari and Grassroots Ganja Association is here, active. We're planning, of course, for tomorrow, the Grown Nation Day, April 21st, the 60th anniversary of His Majesty's visit to Jamaica. And give thanks for all the ones who speaking. Yes, I saw already Ras Iroy. Yeah, man, give thanks and Ras Gideon. Yeah, Ras Sankofa Matkabi, not sure if Ras Sankofa is here. But great works, CRO family. Yeah, man, greetings and give thanks to see the ones them here, in this powerful moment. This is sure about the ganja struggles. Even though the law decriminalized ganja 2015 here in Jamaica. The reality is that, many persons, institutions in the legal system, and the justice system, including the police, have not fully appreciated the impact of the law. That respect, it essentially means that we're having to, fight of the legal framework. Want to be locked up, I ain't being locked up and not getting station bail, but just last week, these two Rasta man I see, who still are being locked up and not given station bail. So you have to stay days and nights in the prison system, in jail system, waiting to get bail, to get freedom in a charge for a clan that Rastafari been recognized, right, as having certain rights to, So it's not issues with the police who don't really appreciate the law. I've heard police say, it's only when you're going to Bingi, you can't have herbs or coming from Bingi, when the law is nowhere so narrow. That's how they put it like that, We hear the police saying how it's only when you're in the tabernacle or you're on the sacred grounds or the place of worship. Therefore, ganja at your home is not for religious purposes. What kind of reasoning I think is stemming from the stigma that has been continuous, that has, been plaguing our minds for generations because of the colonial imposition, And so to many police and many lawyers including, and judges, unfortunately, there's still not this realization that Rastafari really have rights around ganja and that the law, that here as Ira is saying, doesn't have a limit, right? So when we talk about the limit or the lack of a limit, sometimes the perspective is that, well, the law must have a limit. How can Rastafari not have a limit? And then you have this issue about trying to argue how the 2-ounce limit in our law that applies to possession does not apply to Rastafari. Rastafari are exempt from that 2-ounce limit. We have an exemption in the law expressly for storage of ganja and transportation of ganja for religious purposes, right? Again, the police don't seem to be aware of or not sufficiently aware of those provisions in the law. And so we end up having situations whereby, ones have their car seized, right? And therefore end up being deprived of transportation and of their property, suffer more, anxiety and financial losses as a result of that, So we've been able to present to several courts around the island, right, that the law now recognizes Rastafari rights to ganja. The law makes Rastafari exempt from the criminal charge of possession of ganja, right? Once is for religious purposes. And so we've been able to show the court system and the police, in some instances, that as a Rastafari community, we're able to support ourselves. We don't need someone as the police to verify who's Rastafari. We have our own Rastafari brethren and sisters who can verify each other. And so I want to go to court who is charged for ganja. We get them to get a recognition letter from their organization, from their mansion, or from some other affiliation to verify this person is Rastafari. And then to also have some verification of how the herb that this person has, right? Oftentimes in large amounts, of course, if you're cultivating, then we're able to show that through the Rastafari community, we have an ecosystem of networked mansions and organizations and spaces who are cultivating, who are using, who are sharing. And in that respect, it's an ecosystem, right? And so for us, we've been able to show that in that respect, Rastafari is capable of managing our own rights in an ecosystem, that we are setting our own rules and our own protocols as to how we engage with the herb. And we demand that the state, that the justice system is able to recognize and respect our rights through our own customary protocols and traditions being respected. And so we've been able to get back much of the ganja that's been seized, returned to Rastafari community members. Of course, that sometimes means that the herb end up being spoiled after months and months in police custody, right? But at least we've been able to show the system that we are prepared to go to court and to go to the media to enforce our rights. has been very important, I think, in raising awareness. Because after the amendment, we didn't see any wholesale sort of education from the state, and so, as I said, many persons are not aware of the full import or impact of the assessment of the amendment. And so, although we've been able to have those, successes in the courts, I think we still have a problem overarchingly of lack of appreciation of the law and its import for Rastafari. And the issue where many police and many judges still feel it's okay to charge a Rastaman and to force a Rastaman to come to court and to come prove that he's a Rastaman. But they're saying, go to court and tell a judge that he's a Rasta. And therefore, we have to go through all this harassment, prosecution, charge, bail or no bail, right? Sometimes handcuff for hours in police jeep or police station, to go to court, to only have the court throw out the case because you're able to show that this person who is charged is a Rastafari. So it's an ongoing struggle. It's not anywhere perfect where it ought to be, but we give thanks for the 2015 amendment. Give thanks for 11 years now. We've had this law working with, we give thanks that the Rastafari community in the region has been empowered through amendments throughout the region. I look forward to continuing the work to strengthen that partnership with each other as family and to have our rights more firmly accentuated legally, and so all I can say is the struggle continues. 11 years on, the struggle continues, but we give thanks because we know that many of our ancients and our ancestors never would have been able to, foresee the day when we could really have a legal framework that recognizes Rastafari rights, expressly in law. And so, although it's not perfect, we give thanks. And so I'll leave it there, Janani, for now. But give thanks again for the roll call and for one's efforts and for the stick-to-itiveness, determination, and perseverance of Rastafari.
Yeah, give thanks, my brother. I know you have to go. I want to just ask one question about how the Commonwealth of Nations treat the decisions of the Jamaican court. What our audience here do that kind of framework? What do they do with information out of our court? They are assured similar kind of consideration. Is that something that is very well established? How they use examples elsewhere?
Yes, we have a common law kind of system that relies on other common law countries' rulings. So, for example, Sankofa Maccabi case is a great ruling, that has regional, and Commonwealth-wide impact because of the common law context, But cases from Canada as well, and from the USA too, that are very helpful, as we fight the struggle in the courts. I think for us here in Jamaica, because our rulings have been on the parish court level, that's where most of the ganja cases are really fought, in the parish court. Then the parish court here, like a magistrate's court, that are high court in the hierarchy of courts. And so the parish court rulings are not binding on other parish courts or on the Supreme Court or the Court of Appeal and so forth, And so you might find one parish court judge, for example, in St. Elizabeth, might have a certain view of the law. When you go down to St. Thomas or Portland, it's a different type of view or not. So that's still an issue, I think, overall. But yes, we have a common law approach that I think serves us well. So we can use and draw from the jurisdiction that we find.
Yeah, man. Give thanks, my brother, and all the best going forward. Wonderful general in the struggle still for legalizing and just protecting iron in general on the mission of ganja. I think we have, is it just one more of the, I see our sister who is launching her book, Sister Yento. Yeah, man. I know that you have to go maybe shortly as well, so I want to invite you to just say a little about, you can even respond to what you've been hearing, because I know there are matters that you've been listening to that impact the kind of advice and help you can give. And remember that this is a networking session, so people can know the resources that they might find available on various things. All right, so Dr. Yenta Williams, please go ahead.
Greetings and give thanks, Raf Jelani Naya, for this invitation to be here to get today the ones on ones. I know, Jelani, you invited me to share a bit about my work. My work is on a particular stream of intellectual property called geographical indication law. Now, I'm talking from the context in the Caribbean where we have geographical indication laws. I'm not sure about all of your context in terms of this particular area of intellectual property. So here in Jamaica and the wider Caribbean region, we got geographical indication laws, which is a subset of intellectual property. It deals with the origin products, the quality, characteristics, and reputation of products linked to a specific geographical territory. So Europeans have been using this for over 200 years. The quintessential geographical indication is champagne. In the region, again, we only got the laws 20 years ago, and we've been slow to use the law, let's say, but the law is there and available for us to use. So in Jamaica, we have registered Jamaica Jerk in 2015 and Jamaica Rum in 2016. In Trinidad, where I was born, we registered Montserrat Hills Cocoa, geographical indication, and the Trinidad and Tobago Steel Pan. So craft products and agro-food products can be registered under this intellectual property law. St. Lucia Rum, Dominican Republic Rum, Dominican Republic Cigars. There's Guyana Demerara Sugar, Guyana Demerara Rum. Now, with a collective, we did some initial research in the early 2000s in consultation with the Jamaica Cannabis Licensing Authority and their consultations with the growers and producers at that time, which identified 3 possible terms that could be protected in the Jamaica context. So that is Jamaica Cannabis, Jamaica Ganja, and Jamaica Hemp. Those were the 3 terms that were identified could be protected in the same regards like champagne. We know champagne is a sparkling wine that comes from France. We can use the terms Jamaica Cannabis, Jamaica Ganja, Jamaica Hemp. Since that research, I've drawn on research of others. Ras Emmanuel is not here at the moment, but UWI scientist who has done work and shown the ganja producing areas of Jamaica, in particular Slipe, St. Elizabeth, Orange Hill, Westmoreland, Sunny Hill, St. Thomas, 9 Mile, St. Anne, and Happygate, St. Andrew. And given my work in this area of intellectual property law, I'm actually now, the work has built up to such a point where I believe that our Rasta growing communities should apply and benefit from these laws at a community level. So that is based on those localized growing communities. So that would require setting up cooperatives, going to the national intellectual property offices and registering the processes and productions and so on. So in the Caribbean, as I mentioned, we only got these laws 20 years ago. We don't really have much information, knowledge, statistics on its usage, but based on global benchmarks, and I do a lot of work looking at global benchmarks coming from India, Mexico, Colombia, and other global south countries, that once a geographical indication is placed, there are many, many benefits for community-wide, rural, sustainable development. So my perspective on this topic is it's really our time to use the law for our advantage and our benefit. Indeed, when it was created 200 years ago, it wasn't for us. Now we have access to it. We can use it for us and for our own development. One of the things that was coming back to me with the different interventions is that Jamaica really has the opportunity to be a forerunner here because we have the laws in place, because we have the communities, the reputation, the heritage, and we've already started documenting the quality and characteristics. And I remember, as you can hear from my accent, I grew up in London. So born in Trinidad, grew up in London. And when I was doing my PhD on this topic at the University of Bristol, we used to go to Emperor Haile Selassie's Earth Day celebrations in Bath at his former residence. And I remember it was the first time many years ago now, a Rasta asked me there, how can we attain the same benefits of ganja as sacrament in UK law? And it goes back to this reality that Jamaica can be the global example. So in my view, I want to envisage us mapping out and creating these ganja communities that benefit from intellectual property laws, the specific geographical indication laws, within the coming years. It can be done. Jamaica can be a forerunner on that. And then we can share how we did it. And other countries around the world can use the geographical indication laws. I know not all countries have it. I heard from the Rasta from Kenya. I know Kenya's government have been debating a GI bill, but the GI bill hasn't been passed. So there we'd have to look at other options. But just to say that, again, these laws weren't necessarily created for us 200 years ago, but now we have the opportunity to use it for our own betterment and advancement. And I certainly believe that is possible. And I can share work. So tonight we have our Jamaica book launch of the book Intellectual Property and Cannabis. I will share the Zoom link for that. So that starts at 6 p.m. That's in 3 hours from now. And that book provides an overview of all the different types of intellectual property protection for cannabis. It provides global case studies as well as different thematic case studies looking at the economics, the political, post-colonial theories, sustainable development. It's a very holistic overview, the first multidisciplinary volume of its kind on intellectual property and cannabis. And then later on this year in July, I will also have the book launch of what was my PhD thesis on geographical indications in the Caribbean towards sustainable development in international trade. And that is a book that looks specifically at this area of intellectual property law and how we can be using it in the Caribbean region. And that will be 100% open access. So that will be available for the eye from the end of July this year. And just to say, I want to give just maybe two examples just to show how other countries globally are using this. So one is Café de Colombia. You might have heard of Café de Colombia. Some of you might have even seen the Juan Valdez coffee chains. For example, in Miami Airport, there's a Juan Valdez coffee chain. The government of Colombia, in collaboration with the coffee cooperative from the 60s, understood that their product was sought after, not just locally, it has a reputation, but sought after internationally, and used a series of intellectual property rights, copyrights, trademarks, patents, and geographical indication to protect and brand their Café de Colombia. So they exclusively sell their Café de Colombia from Juan Valdez coffee shops. So there are models that can be used. And if you take a picture saying, I'm drinking a Juan Valdez coffee, and you tag them on Instagram, you'll get a direct message from Juan Valdez coffee shops saying, thank you for supporting Juan Valdez coffee. And when you drink a Juan Valdez coffee, you're supporting over, I can't remember the exact number right now, but over a couple 100,000 Colombian coffee farmers. So they're really serious about the branding and marketing and positioning and letting the consumers know that when you buy our product, you're supporting the producer group. So that's the logic of the geographical indication. And just to conclude, the final one is what the banks are doing in Italy. So in Italy, Parmesan producers, Parmesan cheese is a geographical indication, Parmigiano Reggiano. Parmesan producers can give their rounds of cheese to the bank, and the bank will hold it as collateral. Now, so I envisage a region where can we imagine when we could take our ginger, scallion, cannabis to the bank and say, hold this as capital. We need some finance to develop what we're doing. So the future of GIs is really exponential, and it's up to us how we want to imagine it, use it, and implement it. And as it's been mentioned here already, there is a very real risk. When we have these laws in place, it's not just for us to use. So Prosecco has already come and they've registered in Jamaican law. others can start come and using our laws here to benefit. So we actually need to be beneficiaries of the laws. As Marcus just ended on that note as well, we have the rights, we have to start to use it. So give thanks. I'm open to any other questions, comments, insights.
All right, good thanks, our sister Yempe. Just, reminding us that a part of this conversation also includes how it is that we protect things that might belong in certain spaces, to certain families, to certain groups, communities, etc., and register them as ways of supporting those communities in the wider scope of things. I remember Ruben pushes comment about whether there is need for a sacramental strain, and wondered if that's not what originally lamb's bread was, kind of, representing as a brand out of Jamaica. We know it famously as associated with Bob Marley. I also, have heard it in the chalice space as one of the sought after idol, sort of, special herbs, and sometimes just a term for herbal quality. And I wondered if that might be something placed on the table, so to speak, as a sacrament or a strain, going forward. I think we have the Cannabis embassy as a sort of network group that we also were going to hear from. Is that representative here? Dominic, where is that?
I did not hear well. Which representative, Raschalani?
The Cannabis embassy.
Yes, we have Brother Seva as well from Czech Republic. Please go forward.
Greetings one and all. I'm Sébastien Begré, so I'm actually French, living out of Prague. And I've been lately to the CND in Vienna for the United Nations. That's how I link up with Rasnati. And everything I hear tonight, very inspiring. And I see that in Europe we have a lot of catch-up to do, regardless the progression with the medical cannabis and the industry that is happening. It's a little bit like in a different fashion what as the government are trying to do in Africa, where they want to have like a legal industry to benefit the capitalists. And on the other side, people are still persecuted. So I heard lately people talking about Portugal. Portugal actually is very unique system where they have all the producers from Europe being present there. A lot of companies from Canada, from South Africa, from all over are actually importing, and they are doing what they call like EU GMP. It's like a washing of the standards, where to be able to be compliant in Europe, the ganja for medical needs to be irradiated with gamma. It's a gamma irradiation system that basically, according to the standard pharma, will kill all bacteria and mushrooms. So basically, it's to make sure of the cleanness of the product. However, we know that for cannabis, there's no such things as when you irradiate the gammas, you might interact with the cannabinoids, but especially the terpenes, and then the holistic approach. So as we talk about sacramental and the holistic, from the herbalist. Actually, I have like master in plant science. You can see my diploma in the back. But the point is that this is what's happening. They are putting a special protocol to fit a pharma system from Babylon, which is today not aligned with cannabis culture, and especially Rastafari and the Holy Sacrament. It's very important that I think people know more about what's happening in Jamaica and the whole Rastafari diaspora today, because for Europe, basically now we have medical. In Czech Republic and Germany, we can grow up to 3 plants, which is a blessing. But at the end of the day, I'm also doing a selector. My name is Ganja Samurai as when I take the vinyl. But the point is that, when you go up, so when we go to a dance in the sound system where we talk about Rastafari, and we, it's kind of our tabernacle in a kind of the representation of where we live in Babylon in Europe, but it still get the stigmatized, and at the end of the day, it's very important to recognize it, and even so, from a stereotype, white man don't necessarily deal with Rastafari, which is something complicated for European and actually for conventional also to interact. But I've been to Japan, same way. Japan Rastaman are very, very rutical, and they are facing like a Mauritius Island story. One joint, you can go to jail for 10 years, but they still have the little bush. They have their little place where they do gathering and smoke it. And what's very interesting about Japan is that they have very long history of sacramental use of ganja, but not the herbs, the fiber. And actually I brought some. This is like the fiber of the ganja that they use manually. So they don't need like machine to rip the fiber out of the stem. They just peel it off, and for them the fiber dry like this is like golden hair, and they say it's the a representation of the goddess of the sun, Amaterasu, which is the empress of the Olias, basically, that create the Shinto tradition. But long story short, so in Japan they have like really, really paradoxal system where you have the cannabis as the flower being completely persecuted. It's actually one of the highest crime you can make, because also over there you have a lot of respect, so like the whole family would be ashamed and so on, which come the prohibition from the US when McCarthy in 1945 they took Japan under US kind of a colony, you can put it like this. They started to put like a US base all over the place. They prohibited, the first thing they did is to remove cannabis from their constitution, and on the other side you go to all the Japan temple, you will have this big rope, and those big rope will be the fiber, which from the priest say.
Take a go few, I dream. Squeeze the trigger easy, I fall. Shoot when you're sure. Ready, aim, fire. Ready, aim, fire. You see that topic? You better mark it. You see that object? You better hit it. Ready, aim, fire. Ready, aim, fire. Practice and discipline is the ultimate key for longevity, wisdom, and prosperity. Practice and discipline is the ultimate key, yeah. For longevity, wisdom, and prosperity. You better get ready, aim, fire. Ready, aim, fire. Fire one, steady your hand. Fire two, take a good view. Fire three, squeeze the trigger easy. Fire four, shoot when you're sure. Ready, aim, fire. Ready, aim, fire. Constructive results is better than self-insults. Only your wits can give you directives. Constructive results is better than self-insults. Only your wits can give you directives. You better get ready. Aim, fire. Ready, aim, fire. Fire one, steady your hand. I do, take a good view. I three, squeeze the trigger easy. Fire four, shoot when you're sure. Ready, aim, fire. Ready, aim, fire. Get ready, aim, fire. Believe me, ready, aim, fire. Ready,
St. Lucia government, to me, is very tardy compared to St. Kitts, Nevis, Antigua, St. Vincent, Jamaica, Barbados, etc., Because all now, the laws has not yet changed to include a cannabis industry. All they have done is give us 4 plants and 40 grams. You could have 40 grams on your person, and you can have 4 plants planted at your home. But then my take on that is that I have been recommending, and even from the CRO perspective, we have also been pushing that from the Caribbean perspective, because I hear a lot about Jamaica strain, Jamaica this, Jamaica that, and so on. All the islands may have their strain as well. So we within the Caribbean, especially Rastafari, we need to be able to come together and just have the Caribbean declared as a Caribbean free zone for cannabis. Because we know of the industrial hemp aspect, the medicinal cannabis, because when they speak of the medicinal cannabis, they are referring to the low THC ganja, But then for our sacramental and so on, the THC levels are much higher, So what we as Rastafari in St. Lucia, what we have done is that to protect the integrity of not only the Rastafari, but the indigenous growers or or the traditional growers. We've established what is known as the Herbal Cooperative, which is a cooperative which comprises of Rastafari, non-Rastafari, but people who have been associating with ganja or cannabis. There are also people who process the ganja and make byproducts out of it, different medicinal products. They mix it with coconut oil, they mix it with, other oils and so on, and these things are available on the market, So we can say that strides are being made, but then we know carry come. We call it, sometimes we say carry gone, because every prime minister is there for themselves. They will do the necessary adjustments to try and make sure that they get the next 5 years in office again. And we know that there is need for a unified position when it comes to ganja or cannabis industry, especially, So these are some of the things we would like to see happening from the Rastafari perspective. Also, even in terms of the intellectual property rights, pertaining to ganja, I know that a lot of work is being done in Jamaica pertaining to that. But what I would like to find out is whether the intellectual property rights, when it is issued in Jamaica, whether it would be effective for us in the Eastern Caribbean islands. That is one of the questions. And another one is pertaining to sacramental ganja. Who determines what is sacramental ganja? Because from what I've been hearing, sacramental ganja is a particular strain. I don't think so. Sacramental ganja would determine on how you cultivate, how you grow, the practices which are used in cultivating that ganja would determine whether it would qualify as sacramental ganja. And that is where the ITAL standard comes in. Rastafari is promoting the ITAL standard. So all sacramental ganja must fit within the category of the ITAL standards, where we do use none of them pesticides and fertilizer and all them kind of things. It have to be natural. All the products used have to be plant-based, So they cannot tell us what is sacramental ganja and what is not sacramental ganja. Because currently in St. Lucia, they tell us sacramental ganja should not be sold, So how can, ganja is part of our culture. And we're supposed to have that liberty to be able to generate income through our culture, So for them to come and say sacramental ganja should not be sold, it's a no-no. In Antigua, what the Prime Minister has done, has given the Rastafari community there that license, where now currently the Rastafari community in Antigua can survive on growing what we would call sacramental ganja, or even some people may refer to it as recreational use and so on. We try to avoid them kind of terminologies, recreational use and so on. So we probably may be more comfortable with personal use, But from the beginning, Rastafari have always stated that ganja is the healing of the nation. So it can be used for medicinal purposes, it can be used for medicinal purposes, it can be used for as what they would refer to as psychoactive products, which can be used in even making byproducts also, So definitely there is the need for the Rastafari community, starting within the Caribbean, to try and unify its position and take control of the cannabis industry, which will eventually unfold with those laws that are being amended right now, you know. So moving forward, we know that as Rastafari, also the reparatory justice aspect have to be included as well, you know, because Rastafari were the ones who've been persecuted the most for associating with the ganja plant. So if there's any redress or anything coming, it have to be retroactive. So we are asking in St. Lucia, we've asked the government for land. We've indicated that in terms of license, Rastafari should not be paying a license to get involved in the ganja industry. No, but again, as we say, divide to conquer. If every island come in with their own thing, it will be a problem. So we have to find ways and means of uniting all those strategies, those techniques, you know, those philosophies. We have the expertise who can assist us in going along that way. We have people like Dr. Marshall, who is, I consider, one of the most qualified ganja scientists in the world, you know. So we can use those brethren to help us tabulate what we would refer to that unified ganja industry production which we are looking to engage in, you know. There are many other things which we need to do, but then we have to find ways and means of coming together. Then we'll be able to control or even demand what the markets internationally, the markets globally, I mean the markets locally is kind of being put in place, but then still the laws are not yet in place within all the islands. Some of them already have those laws in place, some do not, you know, so it's gradually we come into that stage. But with the coming together of Rastafari as one, we would be able to hasten all those processes and make it easier. But one would learn from the other and be able to take it from there. Give thanks for that opportunity to listen to ones and ones what is happening globally, and we look forward to continue to work together to see to it that we come with that unified position as it pertains to the ganja industry. Give thanks, Rastafari.
Give thanks, Bongo Wisely. I know you asked a question. I'm going to take the hands raised and then hope we can respond to issues that might be raised from this round of question. I think I see, yeah, man. The first hand is Colin's iPad, and then we move to Ras Lazarus, and then there's Zoom user. Just identify yourselves and you know, quickly make a contribution.
Give thanks, everyone. Name is Jaboni, better known as the runaway slave. I want to say respect and love Jalani a very long time. Very, very long time. Now, this issue of ganja is a touching issue for I, from the angle that I am a Rasta baby from Bakawal, born 1954, son of Mortimer Planner. And I have never have issues with ganja wherever we go in the world. Now, the issue that I say that Rasta is facing with ganja right now, it stems from more we wanting to be a part of Babylon. Now, Rasta, in its original state, I drawn a line. So I come up in that line where Babylon is Babylon, Rasta is Rasta. Hence, I have traveled extensively. I've traveled with Peter Touch, legalize it. From 1976, we legalized ganja at Allen up until today. Ganja is legal there. All kind of coffee shop open. And in a lot of European country, ganja is legal. So how comes we have this problem? I mean, while I was living in a state, we used to run ganja house. And we never have no problem with our ganja house. Never get raided by police or anything. I mean, to I, as a Rasta man, ganja was always legal. It's other things that wasn't legal. So I don't know how it comes where Rasta have a problem with ganja, especially even at Jamaica. Now, recently it come up in the news, Jalani, I beg you a little diversion, where I think St. Kitts is now saying that Rasta have legal rights on the book there. But Rasta have legal rights from 1988 in the world, from a case called Benjamin, which I was the expert on that case. So I'm going to make it short. Jalani, if you want, or anyone here want to know the framework how to deal with ganja, then feel free to contact I at runawayslave100gmail.com. Give thanks for that short utterance.
Give thanks, Jaboni, for what is not a unique point of view. I mean, there are many of I and I who don't think we should be caught up in the Babylonian attempt to control I and that we are to just do as we have been doing. It's because of what we are doing while we are here.
Yes.
You know, so we give thanks for that, Dabi. And yeah, man, we can continue the conversation as you have invited us to. We're going to move to the other two raised hands, but one perfect love, my brother. Good to see the eye.
Bless up.
Yeah, man. Blessing. Ras Lazarus.
Yes, I give thanks. I wanted to say pretty much where Jabani hit is that here in the United States, we filed in 2005 actually, and started the battle about exemption. The exemption was based on we are under the charter of His Imperial Majesty, not under a Papa Bull doctrine. The United States government has a Supreme Court case called McIntosh, 1823, that declares that their only delegation of authority is the Papa Bull doctrine. That's their authority over the land and the people. So, being that the Papa Bull doctrine is now considered illegal because slavery or colonization in any form. See, this is the language. See, we kind of get around talking it in the human rights aspect. And when we talk about it, we keep saying religious rights, but we're talking about religious privileges in their system for them to define how you receive that privilege. So you're then saying that His Majesty didn't give you no rights. We need you to give rights. But if we declare that His Majesty is the King of Kings and that His Majesty is the counter to the Papa Bull, that He has brought all of us under His empire, for He's an emperor, then at that point of time, we're outside of that jurisdiction. So under the Ethiopian World Federation, His Majesty ordained a charter. Every institutional area should have a local. Every institutional area for organizations for Rastafari should be registering their organization to the EWF. Then the notification from the EWF should be given to the local governments that you are certified under the empire of His Imperial Majesty. Now you're not giving away your intellectual property to Jamaica, because if you say Jamaican cannabis, that's not Rastafari doesn't control the IP. Someone else controls the IP, the government. The government then defines where the funds from that IP goes. So in that aspect, the keys then would be to create a trademark like kosher. We say ITIL. So we'd have to do it just like they do the kosher mark. On all of the products that come out, we put an ITIL mark. And that means anybody that wants to use that ITIL mark has to pay a license. Now you do the licensing through your locals. That way then you still keep the definition and the control of the data, because this is the age of information. Every nation has to own their own data. So if you turn over your copyrights to another procedural charter under the Papa Bull, then you've gave that away. So now in this age, we're supposed to be protecting all that, redefining ourselves, as His Imperial Majesty said, not under a neo-colonial system. So we have to define that it is a neo-colonial system. So when we contested it in exemption under human rights as Ethiopians under the empire of His Imperial Majesty, who countered the Papa Bull. Now, if any nation or government tries to hold us under the old Papa Bull doctrines and laws, because all of these laws were created by the Catholic Church to counter the natural shaman, the indigenous medicine men. That's the only reason herbs and all of these things were made illegal. So that means they're continuing colonialization or slavery. When we speak in those languages, the governments then don't have to give, like we say, oh, the government's trying to try to protect itself politically. Then it's not succession. We're not talking about succession. We're talking about internal self-determination. We're not talking about changing their laws. We're talking about giving them the standards in which we operate in. So we define it out and we turn it to them to say, this is the standards that we operate in. Then if they violate our operations, they're violating human rights, not religious rights. Because if you put it as religious rights, you're going back into their jurisdiction. Then you're saying that His Imperial Majesty did not set you free. See, we're not waiting on a savior. Our savior came. His Imperial Majesty set us free. So we're not talking about we're going to wait for some religious thing to happen. No. His Majesty has already brought us into His empire. That was declared June 15th, 1935, when He said He is the emperor of all of Africa and the king of all Negroes around the world, including those in the United States. So we're not going backwards. We have to go forward and declare that. We have to accept that we are the good news. He has gathered us from the north, the east, the west, and the south. And we were the people who were without a nation. But now we are a nation and we're made whole. If we don't speak it, it's not real. We can't wait for them to say that for us. Every time we walk in their position, in their face, we have to say that we are under the empire of His Imperial Majesty. We are removed from all Papa Bull declarations of authority. We're not succession. We're in our own chartered government. And that's how we have to speak as a liberated people. Otherwise, we'll be treated as slaves. People will give us privileges as they see fit. They will control our profits as they see fit. And then they will submit it to us in crumbs. So we can't go backwards. We have to go forward. That is the biggest thing that we always said. Ever forward, never backward. We cannot submit. So, yes. Rock Lazarus, Local 49, Ethiopian World Federation. Give thanks for that.
Yes, you're strengthening the conversation nicely. But African Jaboni drew us in this direction about self-determination and not waiting on those kinds of strictures. You're making us remember that His Majesty has told us about organization and centralization. Ethiopian World Federation remains a kind of example for I and I. See, still the Zoom user. Please go ahead, my brother. We have about half hour still, and I know that there might be ones that want to still contribute. Yeah. My Zoom user, yeah, man. Identify yourself. Yeah, give thanks.
Greetings. My name is President Kex from the Rastafari Council of Ghana Advocacy Commission. We just finished our 420 national conference, the 5th national conference today. And I give thanks for this gathering and give thanks for the work the others are doing. First thing I would like to do is that I would like the Caribbean community to recognize we the Africans too as part of the Caribbean community or as a part of the community as the political aspect is doing. Secondly, I see the ganja fight is also going on strongly in Kenya. And we are under serious persecution in Ghana here. A lot of times my doors has been burst open by police and they bust me and thing. So we give thanks for the reasoning that is going on. I just want to give thanks for the item, for the work you guys are doing and I respect and we are learning from the item the same way. Give thanks.
Give thanks, my brother. I appreciate love the word sounds, you know. Yeah, man. This is why
my name is President Kex. The Kex is spelled K-H-E-X.
All right. President.
Yeah. Kex.
Yeah, man. Kex.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Kex is K-H-E-X.
X. Okay.
K-H-E-X, yes.
Okay. All right. Give thanks.
I'm the chairman of the Advocacy Commission of Rastafari Council, Ghana.
In Ghana. Yeah.
Yes, please.
All right. That's all right. Give thanks. I see we have we have another brethren who had shown his hand. I don't see it anymore. It seems like okay. Rasaya.
Peace and love and greetings. You can hear? Okay, give thanks. I'd just like to say give thanks to the forum for the reasoning and the dialogue of I ancient speak. And we just like to say happy 60th anniversary to all the Rastafari within the region and international majesty to the region. But we'd like to really ask a question. Are we serious in fighting the insistence of what we see in the administration doing around the world? Because even though we see trying to formulate and ways of how we can stand within the legislation that we've seen in the Caribbean region, but in an international format, we still see a hurdle that is hitting our people, and that's the Drug Act, that we are not able to really discount. Because if we left from here right now, as a Rastafari community and go to Russia, we can be jailed in Russia for her and aware of life sentence or even be executed. So we want to know what kind of standard are we promoting on the international scene when it comes to the drug. Because I'm not a drug lord, you know. The herb is preferred. Until we say we are not guilty for using herb, we are not saying anything. We're supposed to be urging ourselves to stand to this international treaty that these old called administration are blind when it comes to our human rights, spiritual rights. Because I'm not a religious person either. It's spiritual rights. We have a right to use herb in our weapons as who we are as a people, whether Rastafari or non-Rastafari. And that is why we like to say for this dialogue today, because it's very important to see non-Rastafari even getting hurt for using herb. And we see even Rastafari, brother was the whole line with his matter, with him and his son, are being cheated, and the way the deliverance of the judgment has stated. That to show you that these people are hypocrites and parasites. They are not here to see our people get respected in the way we're supposed to. And I ain't no police, no army man, no international chief tell me how much hope to work with, how much hope to smoke in the street of St. Stanley. Give thanks for the Jalani, because it's time now to let the hope be free, and the people who use the hope must be free. It's time now. Give thanks.
Say the word sound clarity of the eye is continuing the same conversation. Man, the privilege them trying to give I by the limitations is not anything that I and I should be striving for, really and truly. Fully over. Legalize it is the theme of the day. I see your hand, my brother. Yes, please go ahead. Just unmute yourself. The brethren with his palm facing the camera. Man, the eye can go forward. Give thanks.
Yes, I. Can you hear me?
We are hearing the eye, man. Give thanks.
Greetings. In that name of His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie, sons and daughters of His Imperial Majesty. I give thanks for this opportunity to share my opinion with my international brothers. So, my names are Aswambua Mwendwa. I'm a spokesperson, Rastafari Society of Kenya. As Ras Benaya said, we have a case in court, and we are waiting for the final decision. But we hope all is well. I wanted to help my brother from Mauritius there. He asked whether there is chapters talking about marijuana in Bible. I can advise him. Yeah, there is many from the Genesis to Revelation. As myself, I use some chapters in my part of witness there in that day. So you can read Revelation chapter 1, verse 11, and Revelation chapter 1, verse 29, and also this book of Ezekiel, chapter 34. There's also, you can read Ezekiel 24. You can read also Psalms 104, which says, He caused the grass to grow for the cattle and herb for the service of man, so that he can cultivate the food out of the ground. I use that Bible, those verses of Bible and our Constitution. If we can check his country Constitution and check about the freedom of worship, I can check about the freedom of privacy, and if we can find those, it can have some strong testimony in the court. So he can have a chance to be listened to. Because here in Kenya, we are a diversity country. Everybody has a right to worship. So we Rasta people, we use cannabis as sacrament, and that is our belief. And once again, I would like to advise him to go and get registered, to be recognized by his government, so that he cannot be looked at like an outlaw. You see, here in Kenya we are registered under societies, so government recognizes. We are taxpayers, so we have all rights given to us according to our constitution. That's why we are hoping that everything will run good. Since the judge himself told us that that courtroom will be is a small place to announce the to announce the judgment. So he himself he said he will arrange the ceremonial hall. That means he will give us our freedom, which we are searching for. So we are praying for that day to come. And if they give us a chance, we'll appreciate if our brothers, especially Rasta people from abroad, to come and invest here, because we have a chance. We have a big land here in Kenya. We can go and hire some place, governmental place, so we can, they have a research places there. We can cultivate a lot of marijuana there and a license. So if they wish to come in Africa, I advise them to come and seek us. Rastafari Society of Kenya, we would like to be to have partners to work together, so we can have more knowledge how to make products and more things with the plant to help our people, because here people are given many poisons. So everywhere people are sick and they need medication. They now, even children have cancer. You see, long time ago we used to say that cancer is for older people, but now we see it, everyone have it, even small children. So we would like to invite those wishing to come and cultivate the plant here with us. Give thanks.
Give thanks, my brother. Appreciate the charge you have given us, as well as the insights to the Kenyan context. And just a reminder about organization as well, that we need to be in the forefront of asserting what it is, the terms that we choose for ourselves, and not to have terms dictated to us. I want to recognize that we are now after 4. We said we go until 4:20 Jamaica time. I couldn't help but noticing that I see Queen Mother Aisha. I see that name. I'm not sure if it's my sister who we would love to hear from. She always bring a nice heretical reflection on such occasion. I'm not sure if you're able to Queen Aisha, but if so, this would be a moment to hear from you. We not sure if any of the people who were invited have any summary comments. You can just show your hand if you want to share some closing words. Sister Cheryl Murray Powell, you're welcome to, give us a closing word if you choose to have one. Likewise, Daddy Bosco. Likewise, Ras Iroy. The Caribbean visit is not just celebrated in the Caribbean as a Rastafari Grown Nation moment, but, interestingly, it has become a Rastafari Bingi holy celebration around the world. We give thanks for that. And His Majesty covered the Caribbean as a representation of those people scattered. So I guess Rastafari overs the symbolic importance of this visit. At the 60th anniversary, we wanted to, come together in this way to make sure that we begin to build what His Majesty told us we needed to do. That solidarity that linked us, whether it's as Black people, whether it's as poor people, whether it is as small countries or newly independent countries, but to gather our strength in numbers to do work that our common heritage places us in front of. So I'm surveying if there's anyone who have sealing up closing remarks. Dominic, is there any housekeeping that might be needed from our chat? I'm not sure if there's anything we may have missed that needs to be highlighted. But just from my point of view, just listening to this conversation as an update from brethren and sisters around the world, I'm reminded that this is certainly a common unity that we have. Herb, it's also a common sacrament. It's also a common economy. It's also that thing that we raise here as something we should be able to move commonly within our spaces, whether we are separated by land and sea. And the real fact is that we shouldn't be shying away from control of this space and using it as one of the ways to organize ourselves. Raga organization in Jamaica is a really good example of grassroots working together on common threats and helping to, socialize police, because there's no framework in Jamaica for the police to be updated. So it's members of that community have been indicating to the police that the law gives these things is not any privilege, and we are agents of Rastafari, various associations, and have these rights. And police over time are clear and keeping check and not harassing, as you know, but then we also have instances where harassment still continues. I see Ras Iroy's hand. Please welcome my brother. He's the current chair, as we said, of the Caribbean Rastafari organization.
Yes, I blessed love.
I'm on the mobile now, so I hope the reception is good. Just a few words as I close. Number one, just about the biblical part and the mention of cannabis. I'm not much one of the Bible, but I could remember in our early stages when we were discussing, we had a meeting with the churches, ecclesiastic affairs. And one of the things our elders highlight was that in the anointing oil of so-called Jesus, even in there, cannabis was mentioned under a term called cannabis. Cannabis actually would bring you back to the cannabis family. And so that you could really throw on your ministers of religion that would shock them to hell and be a little bit more accepted to the cannabis. The name is cannabis. Also, just to say that we always must be mindful that even though we are getting bits and pieces from the government and the Babylon system, we must never be comfortable and complacent. We cannot compromise our rights. If we get 5, we take 5, but we almost always have to keep pushing for the 100 and never ever make Babylon comfortable that they can take away our rights and giving it back to us in portions. One perfect love. I'm looking forward for I to branch off from this forum now and have other forums where we can be reasoning more on a global standpoint, more frequent. One perfect love. Give thanks, Brother Jalani and all the others who joined in. Want to say special mention to our past chair, Elder Bongo Wisely, Rastafari.
Yes, I give thanks, Bongo, or Ras Iroy, for joining us from Eastern Caribbean and for those islandful words. I mean, that is really the mission, that we really need a Rastafari solid global position that gives us the rights of one community everywhere I trod without apology. You know, I see the hands of Eddie Bosco and Sister Cheryl. Please go ahead.
Greetings once again. I just want to say thank you to the organizers of this interaction. I've learned so much tonight from the various perspectives that have been shared globally. And what I look forward to is the continuation of this conversation. The lessons from Kenya, Malawi, etc. will surely help us in Ghana as we navigate our current position. Also, the visit of His Majesty to Jamaica doubtlessly is one of the most important or significant milestones in Rastafari. So once again, give thanks to the organizers. Dr. Jalani, it's good to see you once again. Hi, Talban. And Madam Cheryl, give thanks. Have a blessed evening.
Give thanks. Yes, Sister Carol.
Yes, give thanks and blessed love to Rasta Basco and congratulations on another successful conference this past weekend. I just wanted to close out by saying well done to the organizers of this event. I hope this becomes an annual tradition for us so that we can continue to grow and learn together. For the organizers, if you can create a distribution and collect contact information for ones and ones on this call, it would be helpful so that we can come to you as the developers of the ITEL certification when we start doing our communications, our review period, and asking for feedback. We'd like to go to one source to represent all of these, constituents and stakeholders. So if there's a way you can get everyone's contact information, and then we'll come to you as one of the key stakeholders for the review of the ITEL certification standard that's currently in development. To ones and ones celebrating our Groundation Day. I know His Imperial Majesty stopped in Jamaica on the 21st, but there were other stops as well to other nations. So we all celebrate together. We all remember fondly his words and his actions as he engaged with the African diaspora. On behalf of His Imperial Highness, yes, Haile Selassie, and the Crown Council, I'm giving you greetings and know that the Crown Council and the Royal Ethiopian Trust is celebrating alongside the Rastafari community worldwide as we remember our Groundation Day. Give thanks, blessed love. And finally, you have support, love, and partnership from the Ethiopian World Federation Incorporated. One love from our locals all around the world to all the ones representing on this call to get today. All Rastafari manches represented, all the Rastafari councils and Rastafari societies all around the world. We are one Africa, Africa rising. Give thanks.
Give thanks, my sister. Well done as usual. I met you a few months ago and, immediately realized that you have the very, very important and critical international resources. We just love the strength you gave today. So we've had
blessed love.
Kind of 420. This is the first online version, but we have celebrated it as a preparation day for His Majesty visit for a few years now, and we'll take that charge to use this format going forward, perhaps as a tradition that we don't drop, that we keep it going and updating ourselves as we go along. Currently, there are only 44 legal countries or about that, Let's hope next year when we meet, we are seeing 84 or 90, that kind of number, driven by all of those things that are lining up. I give thanks again for the strength brought there. I see Queen Mother, and I also see Jaboni. Both of those, we are moving towards our kind of seal up, but yeah, we can move forward and take those comments and give thanks again for the contributions of those who came before. Queen Mother, Aisha, I see your hand. We are giving you the floor. If not, then we move. Okay, I see you open your mic. Yes, please.
Yes, I perfect love. I'll give thanks indeed. It's a glorious occasion, and it's also interesting that I have selected this time to celebrate the sacramental Irish within NIS family, within NIS community. It has been said, and I'm listening, and I was reminded of the children, what space do we have in place for our children? A lot of our young people are in
Queen Mother, I'm not sure. Is it just I'm not hearing the I.
It's a platform here. Can you hear me?
Now hearing you again. Yes. Yes.
What was the last thing that I heard?
It's interesting that we're having this conversation now, and then your voice kind of muted after that.
Yeah, it seemed like the signal is being affected. But yes, I was just saying that our children, our young people are very engaged in the herb today more than before. And as I and I have this discussion, it is imperative that I and I have in place, something that will facilitate on various level our younger generation, whether it's from a psychological perspective, a social perspective, an economical perspective, so we don't jump into the herb, because the herb is very mystical. And so these are some of the things that we need to, even as one of the brothers said, that there are training that are taking place in the I don't quite remember the full title of the entity that he sounds like he was representing, the global cannabis entity. And so it drew me to a word sound of His Imperial Majesty Haile Selassie I, who spoke specifically on the impact of global affairs on our younger generation. Their Majesty spoke on higher education with the subtitle, and we have said it time and time again, and the subtitle, Need for Various Disciplines. Their Majesty Haile Selassie I said, the study of humanities must not be neglected, and the College of Arts and Sciences must be strengthened and encouraged to develop its studies. These are subjects which contribute most to the understanding and growth of cultural heritage, and so assist in fulfilling one of the university's primary aims. These studies, which are concerned with human cultural achievements, human rights and human duties, human freedoms, will enable youth to develop the understanding and judgment necessary to the formulation of a sound philosophy of life, to the making of wise choices, and to understanding what is involved in these choices. These young people face a world beset with the most effectively organized program of deceptive propaganda and of thinly screened operation ever known. They deserve the best that can be taught by their parents, by religious institutions, and by the university to prepare them for a wise choice among contending ideals. His Imperial Majesty spoke that in December 1961, and its relevance today. And I'm saying this because this seemed to be becoming an institution. What is it that I and I have in place now to ensure the sanctity and sanity and safeguarding and security of the younger generation who and I are passing on the baton to, whether it's in Rastafari, the Ethiopian World Federation, from a psychological perspective, economical perspective. These are some of the things, because I'm a mother of 5 children and I do have grandchildren as well, and it's a concern. How are we safeguarding the children as we talk about the herb, which it has a title from a societal perspective as being illegal, an illegal drug? What do I and I have in place? And I hear Ras Lazarus mention something very important. And are we going to do more research and get a better understanding of the context from which he spoke from a sovereign perspective under the umbrella of His Imperial Majesty Haile Selassie I. We give thanks because I know most have been said. We just need to find a way how to apply it as I and I trod along, so we don't reinvent ourselves. Nothing under the sun is new. So we give thanks and praises for this glorious occasion as the conquering lion I continue to prevail. Love us.
You see why we always need the eyes word sound, your perspectives consistently remind us of our community as we are, you know. And yeah, the context of the technological distractions that our children and society face now is serious. We're seeing where countries like Sweden that were advanced in IT are now taking away technology and returning to book and paper and play and learn as more constructive, and that the IT is known to be destructive. So, and I'm not just dismissing IT, but I'm saying that conversation we have not had in the Caribbean. I don't think it's certainly not high on the Ministry of Education in Jamaica agenda. There's no sort of thought about limitation of access to certain content or even a national policy that regulates juvenile use of this kind of space and technology. So thank you for that very much necessary reminder about those who will inherit the work that I and I strive to establish. Yes, I see, Jaboni, your hand, or is it from your previous conversation? Are you
Yes.
raising? Okay, please go ahead.
Yeah, give thanks again once more, family. A while ago, I hear Sister Cheryl mention something, and it just trigger off something on my head. And she mentioned the word ground nation. Now, 60 years ago, when we were going to the airport, Rasta was one. And I want to make it clear now how that oneness came about. Bongo Watto called a full-scale ground nation 7 days before the king come out in yard at Bottom 9th Street. And the day when we were going to the airport, when I listen to how ones talk about it, them talk about it like we just run by airport. But that wasn't the case. It was a 7-day ground nation. It was a 7-day ground nation where for that whole week, Rasta from all over gather at Bottom 9th Street. And in the morning, when we were going to the airport, it was the all road lead. So the all road lead from Trenchtown, Bottom 9th Street, and a procession, and people join it as we go along. So I just want to make that clear that 60 years ago, I was a part of that procession. That morning, Watto, Bongo Eddie, my old man, Sam Brown, historian, all of us, Countaze, Ross Michael, around 8 Thames trailer truck. Because that's them time that the Thames trailer truck being here keep on. So it was a moving procession. But give thanks, I just want to make the item know that that's the vibration that I am under right now, seeing what it have come to today, where globally, from I hear what Jalandi just said, while 40 different nations, the last count him count in the last meeting, and today, and I hope that the next time it will be 80. So I also hope for that, and I feel irate today to see from that time in the dark days to what it come now to in light. Blessed love everyone and safe travel.
Give thanks, my brother, and we do need to have some conversations, you know, to help to document the eye, because as you know, those who actually witness the visit are increasingly dwindling in our presence. Just for the ones here to know, we will celebrate the arrival in Jamaica with the same motorcade that Jaboni is telling us about, convening at the Rockfort Mineral Bath at Windward Road, Windward Road, and gathering there at Rockfort at 10 o'clock Jamaica time and moving from Rockport to the airport for Liquor Eyes is out there for maybe about 45 minutes, and then to gather at the Haile Selassie School, just to kind of...
Jelani, 1 minute. If
Yeah.
if the I don't have my contact detail tomorrow when you go to the school.
Brother, may I have your WhatsApp?
All right, bless.
The guy send me a message. Yeah, man, we did
All
it.
right, bless,
All right.
bless. Salute.
Yeah, man, everything,
All right,
Chris.
all right.
But just to say to the ones here that some of what he's mentioned will be reenacted tomorrow with the same type of not the same type of motorcade, but a motorcade that will climax at the Randy Williams Center, where there is a full day of activities that should seal up in the Nyabinghi. Unfortunately, it's not a hybrid event. It's an in-person event. But we know that across the Caribbean, Ground Nation is being celebrated at this time, and ones are, holding that kind of reverence, not just in the Caribbean, but beyond. We give thanks, though, for the response to this initiative today, and we understand the importance of having a network that can help us with these challenges. We're committed to building that. Ras Dominic will share a Ganja Talk platform, which is a WhatsApp group that individuals can participate in. It's a network that we've had for about 7 or 8 years, arising from one of the radio programs that had a similar name, Ganja Talk. But we understand the public education as an omission. We understand the consistent harassment in spite of legal amendments. We understand the need to be together. That's really what this conversation is about. If I and I are not together with the same information, armed with the same information, armed with the same strategic approaches, even the same language, the same understanding of human rights, which is the foundation of all of this. And the human rights case always wins, which is why the Kenyan brethren are very much optimistic. I'm glad for that personal touch. I'm also glad for the update from South Africa, because I thought, the South African case was not so grim still, but much better. But we are hearing otherwise. And then we have heard from the brethren in Malawi about issues that they're having, and Ghana and Ethiopia. Give thanks for Ruben Cush's clarity, and I to come back to Bongo Wisely's question, which I don't think we've answered. I don't know if Ras Ruben Kush was saying we must only have one name strain for sacrament. I think he was saying we must name a strain also. And in the case of Ethiopia, their legislations would benefit from that kind of specificity. But I don't think he was saying we should be limited to just one kind of strain that is called our sacrament. I don't know if it can harm us. I certainly think it would be good to have that also as a part of our possibilities, that there's also a strain named as sacrament. But if that is to pose a problem for other jurisdictions saying this is not that strain, then we have to think about how we, do those kinds of things. But there was also a question for, I think it was Yentl, about the geological indicators. If their application in one country, I don't know if she's still here, provides insurance for other Caribbean countries that they also. But I think that's what Ras Bongo Wisely was striving to get at, whether if someone applied in a certain country, if that was transferable. I think, but I'm not sure how that would work. I was hoping that she might have heard your question and thought about what was necessary as a response. This recording is going to be made available. The idea was to help our Kenyan brethren into a resource material. It's grown a little beyond that, but we are most happy that we've been able to, especially through the assistance of our sister, Cheryl, bring in a real sense of Africa, which was our central and then the global as a more general context. Rasta Dominic, give thanks for the coordination inside and the consistent work that you've done in just keeping the communication going and organizing this event, making sure everyone is on board for us here. Is there anything important for sealing that you might want to say at this point?
Yes, give thanks for everyone contributing and coming together. As we said in the beginning, this is a networking event. Please make use of that. You have also direct chat function, or just remember the organizations and the people that you found. There was something corresponding maybe with your own works that you're doing or struggles that you're having, and different topics. And so ones can work together through different organizations and regions. So to make this really useful for everyone who was participating in this today. Give thanks.
Give thanks, Dominic. I see Queen Mother Ifia's hand. I don't know if it has been raised again. Just a reminder of the request to have persons leave their contact details in the chat, that we're able to continue to share with this gathering and beyond the conversations that are connected and important for us all. So I've seen that people are doing it, but yeah, man, that's what we're asking. Queen Mother, is that hand up?
Yes. I was listening to the Master Lani about the trend of activities that will be taking place in illuminating and celebrating Divine Majesty trad to the Caribbean and across the platform, and particularly in Jamaica, and I sentimental. Yes, I give thanks. But I didn't hear there I mentioned the Nyabinghi, because as there I know, I remember clearly in 1996, the Ganja March in Kingston, and it was always the Nyabinghi holding that energy and vanguarding a pathway always. So we want the Rastalani to make sure that I take the principle of the Nyabinghi order, because there I know that I have been attributing and safeguarding the ital livity of the Rastafari through the Nyabinghi and the various houses and mansions. But we are talking about the upfront who have made great sacrifices in maintaining the livity, the ital livity of Rastafari in the West, particularly there in the Caribbean, and specifically in Jamaica. The 1988 trad to the fact-finding mission or the Smithsonian Institution, the 1983 Rita. So we want the Nyabinghi to be detected as I yad along, because the drums is a heretical weapon, and I must safeguard that. It's very important, because I didn't hear I mention the Nyabinghi and how the transition from the Ronnie Williams Entertainment Center will be transitioning into the Nyabinghi. So I just wanted to bring that, and for the probably to share with I how that will transition.
And so I should have said Queen Nyabinghi, I fear, High Priestess, Yeah, man, give thanks for that beautiful reminder about the importance of Nyabinghi as duty, which is why we gather, and an important, ritual for I and I. Yeah, you're correct. The organization of this celebration is driven by Nyabinghi ones, but is beyond the singularity of the Nyabinghi. The other mansions are participating, but the community will gather, coming in from Montego Bay and also coming in from Maypen, from the south as well as the north, and then meet up with the Kingston community at Rockford. So it's Nyabinghi moving the drums from that point in to the airport and then to the Ronnie Williams Entertainment Center. That wasn't lost on me. The activities, and this just opens back some of the concerns. There are 2 sessions, one of which looked at the the condition of I in terms of our well-being related to our families and the youths and all of the issues, mental health, etc., as important things that I now need to be in a position to navigate and manage and perhaps be the bridge for wellness in those spaces. There are other conversations related to the testimonies of elders who experienced the visit itself. There is a Rastafari themed eyewear, as it's being called, demonstrating the work of producers of, clothing within the community. There is a Nyabinghi starting from 10 p.m. onwards and will continue throughout the night. And throughout the day, Muta Baruka and Ras Ailawi are selecting music to kind of, vibes up the place and do its own ministry in music. So Nyabinghi is at the heart of this Queen Mother. We can't leave out Nyabinghi and we name Naya too, So we're there with that insurance that the height of liberty is of the standard that we are. We're fully there, Queen Mother. Give thanks for that. I trust that we can seal up. Is that Ras Aya is not? No, it's not IRV. I was wondering if it was IRV. But I would beg perhaps for the priest out of Zion, Ras Reuben Kush, if you could seal I up, if you don't mind. You were so dutiful and diligent with your limited time. I wouldn't mind if the I could extend a little more self-time. I know it's late in Ethiopia. And seal I up. Ras Reuben Kush, are you still awake? Yeah, man, the I now go fall asleep. Not on the battlefield. I don't see any response from Daddy. Yeah, man. We'd love to be sealed up from out of Zion today. Is there anyone on the continent that wants to close this session with a little words of liberation and thanksgiving? Floor is open. Give thanks, Daddy Bosco.
Yeah, I'd like to salute Ja Dominic for that full work. And I'll say, may the words of thine eye mouth and the meditation of thine eye hearts be acceptable in thy sight, O Jah, Rastafari, and I strengthen and I redeemer. And I pray for the strength to be able to carry forth these ideas and ideals we've discussed. And I pray that when we meet again, like Jalani said, the number of countries which are giving us Sinai rights or allowed us to exercise our rights would have grown exponentially. Jah Rastafari.
Highly give thanks. Yes, I. Well, give thanks for the ones gathered here. If anyone wants to just, in not hearing your country, just tell us that country is represented. As we kind of close out, floor is open to just representing by name of country. If the item don't mind, just open your mic and just tell us from whence the item connecting. We would appreciate it.
Rasta International Ambassador Jaboni, United Kingdom.
Mother, Empress Ifia, calling in from North Carolina through the North Carolina Rastafari Union. We give thanks.
Daddy Bosco, Ghana, representing for Rastafari Council of Ghana and the Rastafari Continental Council. Give thanks.
President Kex from the Advocacy Commission of the Rastafari Council of Ghana, Chairman of the Advocacy Commission of the Rastafari of Ghana. Give thanks.
Sadia
Badia Nuhu, give thanks, President Kex, representing the Rastafari Council of Ghana in the House.
The Advocacy Commission.
That's President Ethiopian World Federation, local first selected member, International Council. Selassie.
Isis Tafari, Knoxville, Tennessee, local number 49. Give thanks.
Rosbenaya, representing Rastafari Society of Kenya. Once again, we give thanks so much to Sosa Crew. Thank you so much, Brother Dominic, Ras Jalani, and the entire Sosa Crew for featuring I and telling I's story, sharing it with the world. More love, more liberation. We wish our brothers and sisters in Jamaica a blissful groundation. Jamaica, we salute you. Give thanks.
Greetings, Rastafari. That's Iroy, hearing from St. Kitts Nevis. Joined you today as the recently elected chairman of the Caribbean Rastafari organization. One perfect love.
Rasa in South Africa, Azania, Rastafari Nation Council. Giving thanks, family. Bless the ancients, bless the elders, mothers and fathers, sons and daughters, international, worldwide, Sila.
Rastafari greetings. Laban Smith, nowadays as Alliance, also here from South Africa. And I'm the EWF Local 145 President down here in Cape Town, South Africa. Give thanks.
Yes, I, Bongo Wisely Tafari, from Ayanola, St. Lucia, representing the Ayanola Council for the Advancement of Rastafari. Love, light, and logic, family. Give thanks.
Glory to words, glory to sound, glory to the high power, Ras Manza, Azania, blessed love, aka South Africa.
Love and greetings to the family. That's Aya from St. Kitts and Nevis. This is Nyabinghi. We just like to say blessed 60th anniversary of His Majesty's visit to the region and blessings for the dialogue of African unity. Give thanks.
Rastafari bless Ruben Kush, international organizer of the Ethiopian World Federation, resident of Ethiopia. LAI. Peace and love to each and every one.
Greetings. Barrington Levi, chaplain for local charter number 12 from the USA. Give thanks.
Yes, greetings. That's Joel Lagos, out of South Africa, Rastafari.
Any more ones want to? Or have we more or less covered all the ones here? All right. I'm sure ones have shared their intros in the chat as well. But yeah. And I. Yeah. Yes, please, my brother, go ahead.
Yes. Book is standing duty and witness for the culture and the works of Rastafari and the duty for Nyabinghi. Give thanks.
Give
thanks. We weren't hearing the brethren too clearly. I'm not sure if it's my connection or it was general, but yes, give thanks.
Greetings, everyone.
I'm hearing out of Panama. Give thanks.
Panama. Yeah. Your email is in our chat. If not, please, Panama. Important.
Greetings, everyone. Josiah Naya from Kingston, Jamaica. Blessings.
All right, Josiah Naya. Anyone else?
Yes, I greetings. Bongo Super Trinidad.
All right. Yes, my brother. Good to see you and give thanks. Come on.
Yes, sir. Ross Lazarus Nazari, Local 49, the Gullah Geechee, southeastern USA right now, but Ethiopian Empire under the Ethiopian World Federation. Give thanks.
Give thanks. Give thanks.
Yes, family, once again, greetings and blessed love. I'm Manuel ID from Germany. Give thanks for the gathering and all the knowledge and wisdom shared, all the energies sent all over the globe. Rastafari bless all of I and I, representing the German Rastafari community. Blessed love, give thanks, Brother Dominic, for the invitation. All the ones and ones. God bless.
Give thanks. All right. I trust that some people are already past midnight in their jurisdictions. We really appreciate of the time that the eyes have contributed here, and look out and listen out to continued communication. We hope we have built a network that will strengthen with this start. So, one perfect love, brothers and sisters. Give thanks, Most High. Jah, Rastafari.
Rastafari.
Blessed Lord, give thanks.
Rastafari. Blessed Lord.
Yeah, man, blessed love.
Yes, I had it. Selassie, I